Only a few days are left before the eternally long-awaited DLC graces us with its presence, and rumors are prophesying the arrival of about 100 new weapons that will change the world we live in forever. We currently have a total of 308 weapons in Elden RIng, with each and every one of them carrying the stories and myth of the lands between. Unfortunately, they are not made all equal, and only a handful of them can be considered elite. Hence, I wanted for us to have a video that will be a remembrance, a photograph of the state of Elden RIng before the shadow of the Erdtree Revolution. Now behold, the ultimate tier list whose goal is to rank all of the best weapons set up in the game. Are you ready? Let's go! Let's fucking go!
Is this what it is to sin? Will things never be the same again? I command thee, kneel! May chaos take the world!
Tell the two fingers that Rani the witch cometh to rend thy flesh.
The process for this ranking is as following: taking the best weapon in slot of the best weapon categories and ranking them between one another. So obviously this list is going to be the most controversial ever for two main facts. Number one, we're obviously not comparing apples to apples. Trying to rank weapon in various classes is like comparing a car and a plane. Sometimes taking your car to go to the city next door is very efficient, but probably not for going to another country.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's pretty much the same stuff here, kind of, even though there is a lot of variation to that bad example. And number two, I have tried to be as objective as possible, basing my choices on my personal experience, as well as asking some of the pillars in the community their opinion on what are the best weapons / setup in the game. But even with that, I know that this video will start many controversy, and I'm ready for it. Give it to me hard, baby. However, with that being said, it is possible that your favorite weapon might not be on this list. If that's the case, of course you can obviously insult me, but after doing that, make sure to tell us what are the best setup and weapons in the game. Before we get started, I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart Skip to My Nash and especially Agron that took a lot of time to go through detailed explanation on what are the best setup in the game. I also took a lot of inspiration from Anda the Lion's video and Puya the Destroyer weapons ranking and many other content creators that will be quoted as we go along. With that being said, let's get into it, shall we? Starting things off with a weapon that I never knew would ever be meta. The Twinned Knight Sword. So forever, twin blades in general were all assumed to be quite shit in the game, and I hated that. I thought this weapon was the coolest thing ever. I mean, you look like a badass dark mole from the Lord of the Ring while wielding them, and even Twin Knight Sword, being the best in class, was quite underwhelming to say the least. But for some odd reason, it became one of the best weapons in the game after patch 1.10. Actually, now, some of the best players are saying that this is the best setup in the game, period, especially if used with spinning slash, because it has a really good running R2 that has a lot of forward momentum and can consistently catch panic rolls with buffered consecutive running R2s. The neutral R1 do poised chip, and when you're poised chip, it leaves you being open to huge stun lock and eats a lot of mash from the twin blade. Not to mention, spinning slash has frame 1 hyper armor and is literally free big damage, confirming its 3-hit true combo, which is one of the reasons why it's actually bad in tournament. Well, basically, it's a weapon that will tear you slowly apart, until after being violated time and time again, you will give up, fall on your knees, and pray to our savior, baby Jesus, to give you the final blow. But even without spinning slash, it's still an excellent setup, especially when used with the barbaric raw Ash of War, turning this fast with low recovery weapon into a monster of close to infinite hyper armor and 3-hit true combo. Also, while using barbaric raw, the player character is wielding the weapon at its tip, making it gain a huge and, to be honest, quite stupid amount of range. But wait, there is more. Its multi-hit aspect is making it one of the best setup to inflict status effect to your opponent. It goes straight into the S tier, no question. The next weapon is coming straight up from the Middle East. Please welcome the infamous and terrifying Shamshir. Weapon so good it had to be nerfed to get accepted in tournament. No rot, no poison, no sword dance, so it doesn't have access to hyper armor. Insane backswing, and to quote directly Enda the Lion, nuclear tier damage on Fate build. It's a weave punish machine with the recovery so low that it becomes almost unpunishable. This weapon allows in the hand of a talented player to become one of the highest kill expression in any FromSoft game ever. Well, I'm probably being a bit too dramatic about this, I have to admit. But still, my god, there is so much to love about this weapon, not only from a mechanical and a gameplay design, but also from an aesthetic design. I mean, just like how beautiful that thing is. It's like a piece of art. Yes, baby. I want it deep inside me. The Shamshir is the only curved sword along with the Scimitar to have access to a unique moveset which has a much more forward momentum than other curved sword. You see, most curved sword have a swing that wipes from left to right, but the Scimitar and the Shamshir have a swinging motion that are much more vertical and so are traveling much more forward. Hence, the main strength of the Shamshir is the backswing frame trap, because even if they can react to your rolls, very often they will get hit by the backswing. It is also a great mix-up option with the running R2, and you get priority on the R1, and maybe you will also get a free backswing roll catch. I would advise you guys to watch Omega's video on the matter to learn more about how to play with this weapon. Shamshir also looks amazing, has really high damage, a fantastic range, interchangeable Ashes of War. I mean, it's just fantastic all around. It goes, of course, straight into the S tier. Congratulations, well deserved. Now, let's move on to one of the most hated weapon among the Elden Ring community. The ultimate Great Spear. I personally just cannot stand fighting the double Great Spear setup. It's just way too powerful to be true. But also mostly because I suck at the game. Let's be honest for a second here. Fun fact is that Lance was actually the best weapon even before the game came out. Back in November 2021 during the network test, we quickly figured out that this weapon was just much better compared to everything else. The reason why Lance solidifies itself as one of the best setups in the game is due to a number of things. It has access to hyper armor, really fast crouch attack, interchangeable Ashes of War, having most of its attack counting as thrust, hence benefiting from counter damage bonus, which are boosted even more by the Spear Talisman, and an absurdly high damaging and fast jumping L1. I mean, it should be illegal to do that much damage. It has the best whiff punish in the game and has some insane damage when you get caught in a clean vortex of 3 or 4 or even more hit. At this point, it's pretty much GG and just an install. The problem you see is that in the hand of a beginner, Power Stance Great Spear would be C or even D tier, but for a master at the game that have spent hours in a cave mastering the crouch cancel and wiggle left to right like a dumbass technique, I really dislike this thing when, you know, they move left and right and they crouch and you just cannot see anything. Well, it's pretty much over for you, so you just won't be able to read when the attack is coming. But again, it is extremely hard to pull off. Don't underestimate how much effort and how much technique and hand dexterity you need to be able to use that setup to its full potential. Honestly, you can hate on it as much as you want, but it is much easier said than done, especially when facing certain countering setup. For more information on how to play Power Stance Great Spear, make sure to watch Russ Bucket video on the matter. The weakness of this setup has to be its base neutral game, which isn't great because you don't have many options to take initiative to be aggressive. It's really once you got your opponent making a mistake that you can trap them in an eternal vortex of pain and suffering. Its ability to get interrupted makes it almost impossible to play well against a player who knows what they're doing, while using a weapon like Shamshir or 200 thrusting sword, because they can always keep you out of their range as you aggress with a simple well-timed neutral R1. One of the most broken and skillful setup in the game for sure. Some people will argue whether or not it should be S or A tier, but the unbearable and traumatizing PTSD I experience every time I see a Tarnished wielding dual lens is enough for me to rank them S tier. I'm just too scared. I actually shitted my pants just talking about this setup. But what do you guys think? We can also quote honorable mention to other Great Spear like the Erdtree Great Spear for its high damage and long range, Mog's Spear of course for its terrifying Ash of War, and the very infamous Serpent Hunter Shunter that is just, in my opinion, much more fun to play with, much more easier to master, and is just a fantastic weapon with its really fast crouch attack coming out. Moving on to a weapon that kind of took everyone by surprise and shook the whole Elden RIng meta after patch 1.10. The Raptor Talon. A weapon that took the whole Elden RIng community by surprise a few weeks after patch 1.10, where a lot of changes were done to how poise worked, creating a lot of new possible true combos in the game. Even though claws have always been known for being trash, I mean, no one was using these things. Maybe you can see like Gigas Pikas pulling out some shenanigans with it. But the Raptor Talons are really the exception here, with its absurd capability of high burst damage with its R2 true combo, averaging around the 900 to 1000 damage every combo. Also, the hitbox of the R2 comes out a little bit faster than the start of the attack animation, making it barely dodgeable on reaction. You can also fully charge the R2 for huge damage and mixing up your opponent roll timings for roll catches. Honestly, you don't even need to make that much effort to make this weapon work. Just wait for your opponent to whiff, combo them. After that, most of them will panic. Hence, you just gotta chase them down as they're panic rolling their way out of your evil grasp, you motherfucker. It's... Man, what the fuck is this script? What am I saying? Honestly guys, I'm truly amazed and I love it, and I'm thankful to From Software for being able to balance the game in such a way that there's so many different weapons that can be efficient and top tier. It goes straight into the S tier. Like Agron says, it's surprising it hadn't been banned yet in tournament, although you don't see it that often. Its weakness, if any, would be its low range, no hyper armor, but even that can be bypassed while using the barbaric raw Ash of War. A weapon that fit really well the assassin type of player that like to mix up between being aggressive and waiting for your opponent to make the wrong move to overwhelm them with a flurry of high damage burst attacks. It goes straight into the S tier. Of course. If you want more information on the Raptor Talons, make sure to watch only Waifu's video on the matter. Moving on to really what we could call the cancer of Elden RIng, and that's been since long. Honestly, the Cross Naginata is most probably the best weapon in Elden RIng. Banned from every tournament since Elden RIng launched, the infamous Power Stance Spear setup is as good as it is brain dead, meaning a shit ton of good brain dead. It's simple, this setup has one good attack that is honestly very hard to do, and it's called running L1 like a monkey, but it is more than enough to cripple any player. And the running L1, to be honest, is not even the only good move on it. You can also count the neutral standing L1 is such a powerful tool to use when you outspace your opponent attack and send a well-timed neutral L1 to punish the whiff. Also, the jump L1 has some insane range and is very quick. When blended well, this attack can be extremely dangerous. Not only is it one of the best setup in PvP, but also in PvE. You can also play the Cross Naginata on Keen, Lightning, Occult, Blood Infusion, I mean really on any infusion, and they will perform beautifully. This setup has the best burst damage of the game. Pair it with the Spear Talisman, infuse it in Occult, and you will see your success rate improve exponentially. However, the main problem I would say is that this setup on the long run will make you bad at the game because of how simple it is and how you can play like a dumb fuck and get away with it. Other honorable mention of spears that are absurdly good will be the pikes that has one of the longest range in the game, if not the longest range, allowing you to attack and whiff without taking too much risk of being punished, and the Ritual Sword Spear that has a diabolically good Ash of War, and also the Bolts of Grand Sax for its fantastic sniping Ash of War in Invasion, great range and great damage. I mean, pretty much every dual spear setup are fantastic. Moving on to two of the most weeb weapon FromSoft has ever made. Can you feel it? The storm approaching. This guy is not happy about me using Moonveil. Yep. FromSoft killed it in Elden RIng, making katanas better than ever. One of the best weapon category in the game. But to be honest, two katanas really stand out. Nagakiba and the infamous Moonveil, and they are both great for different reasons. Nagakiba has an absurd range while maintaining high damage and access to various Ashes of War. While using Power Stance Nagakiba, you will actually play more of the game, meaning that almost every attack have a time and place to be used. Where certain weapon setup are one-trick ponies, here you will have a very complex move set allowing you to use all of its attack and make you a better player. You have devastating jumping attack, fantastic and really fast rolling and crouch attack that can only be mastered with the crouch cancel technique, fantastic neutral R2s and running R2 that do pierce damage. Nagakiba also has fantastic range. I mean, it's the longest katana in the game and by a mile, but honestly, make sure to watch Ross Bucket's video on katana if you want to learn how to master the katana, the weeb anime power. And on the other hand, we have the infamous and very well hated Moonveil. The one using it will insult you for criticizing it and calling for a nerf, and the one on the receiving end will cry, beg for your mercy and cry to their mama. Yes, I see that you like dominating little men, you kinky boy. Moonveil went through a series of nerfs, but is still to this day one of the best, if not the best intelligence-based weapon in the game. It has, of course, really high damage at base and even more on its Ash of War. Transient Moonlight! This Ash of War is also very versatile and can be used in tandem with the crouch cancel technique to be even more unpredictable. But since Moonveil is a dexterity and intelligence weapon, you can also use it in tandem with magic, and as we know, many magic users don't want to face the truth, but magic is playing the game on easy mode. You can just spam projectiles into your heart's content, and some of them are actually undodgeable like Star Shower. You also have access to the fantastic Carian Slicer not Ash of War spell, and it's just like a fantastic setup. Honestly, both of these weapons are just so good, and I won't be able to judge. What is for sure is that we don't see Moonveil used a lot in tournaments, so maybe that means that Nagakiba is better. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. What is sure is that they both go into the A tier. I'm sure you disagree. That's okay. I still love you. Moving on to one of my personal favorite weapons in the game, the Knight's Greatsword. Knowing me, you guys would know that Greatsword, being my favorite class of weapon, would be making it into this list. After patch 1.10 and 1.09, Greatsword got a speed buff and a hyper armor boost, and they are now better than ever. Of course, some brave adventurers are even taking them into world-class level tournaments, and the Knight's Greatsword is arguably the best Greatsword of them all. And I know many of you with your little fingers are typing as we speak in the comment section below. Knight's Greatsword isn't even that good. Blasphemous Blade is much better and isn't even on this list. Darkmoon Greatsword is also an S tier weapon. This guy's list is a joke. You have no idea what you're talking about. You fucking suck. Stop making videos. But wait, let me ask you a question. A simple question. Does it look like I am making a tier list about PvE? Huh? You've been watching this video for the past what? 16 minutes? 20 minutes? And during this time, did you see any fucking monster or bosses getting killed? Are you fucking kidding me? Am I a joke to you? Do you still believe I'm making this ranking based on PvE? No! Of course not. I'm baiting all of you here to get views. You got gotten. Yes, Blasphemous Blade is good to kill NPC with no brain cells, but here the goal is to kill a sweaty motherfucker with over 2,000 hours of gameplay in Elden Ring that doesn't shower, jerks off 4 times a day, is using the fucking CleanRot Knight Sword with Bloodhound fucking step, and of course, full swap to Royal Remains armor once his health gets low and runs like a bitch for 20 minutes. So how the fuck am I supposed to kill this guy with the Blasphemous Blade? Huh? You know what? You do it. You do it and you show me how it's done. Because yes, while you can beat the brain-dead rotten queen of exhibitionist Malenia while being naked with only a wooden stick for a weapon, trust me, you will never beat Frosty, Omega, Agron or any of these sweaty motherfuckers using a shit weapon. So yes, the Knight's Greatsword is the best greatsword in the game. And I mean, we could also argue about Claymore, Flamberge or Ordovices being among the best, but in my opinion, Knight's Greatsword is really taking the crown on this because it has access to a fantastic true combos, can be infused with any Greatsword Ashes of War, has attack coming out at various speed compared to other Greatsword that are stuck with the basic moveset, has the second longest reach out of all the Greatsword right behind the Sacred Relic Greatsword, and is the only Greatsword being used in tournament at the moment. It can be played efficiently on any type of infusion, looks fantastic, is a great sword. Yes, that's an argument. I would say the weakness of this weapon is that it relies a lot on you capitalizing for people making mistake and running into your Harper armor. But it's still one of my favorite weapon ever. If you want to see a god using this weapon, make sure to watch Waze's video and Ross Bucket video. He made a whole guide on how to use Greatsword. With that being said, I have to stay objective, hence it will be ranked into the B tier. Onto another surprise from patch 1.10, the terrifying and spiky Star Fist. Yes, now fists are very good, and it's actually one of the best weapons in Elden Ring. With Starfist being arguably the best in slot category, we could also talk about Qatar and Kestes, but in my opinion, and in the eyes of many other PvP figures in the game, Starfist really takes the chocolate cake. The running R1 is really its bread and butter, since it comes out extremely fast only after 10 frames after initiating the attack, making it barely reactable, if not purely unreactable. This weapon will tear your opponent to shred before they even realize it. Omae wa mo shindeiru. But besides dashing out a lot of damage and having low recovery, it has almost guaranteed chip damage, hence making it almost impossible to dodge, and this becomes more true the better the connection is against your opponent. Only the chosen ones will be able to defeat the Starfist monarchs. I mean the chosen ones or the guy living in other countries very far from you that are super latent. Also, just like Twin Blade and Claws, its multi-hit nature is making it one of the best weapons to inflict status effect, which is always the best option to deal with laggy opponent. It also has an absolutely nuclear damage R2. The weakness of this weapon is its low range and non-hyper armor, but again, even that can be bypassed with the usage of Barbaric Roll that will give it almost unbreakable hyper armor and a 3-hit true combo. I don't know what more I can say. Actually, I've already said too much and I have seen more than enough. So many families broken, father killed, woman abused because of this fist of death. Please forgive me for my sins. Special shout out to other really strong fist weapons like Qatar and Spike Caestus. Starfist will be joining the Queens and King in the S tier. Yeah, that's 2 times tier. I don't know why I wrote that. Moving on to a weapon that will literally make you lose brain cells. Is CleanRot Knight Sword the best setup in the game? Gone through several nerfs and still dominant because, like Enda says, you can't hit what you can catch. I don't know if the CleanRot Knight Sword is the best setup in the game per se, but what is certain is that it is one of the easiest weapons to use. It is as fantastic and powerful as it is simple. This weapon has low recovery, great range, rolly attack at 10 frame, 13 frame on crouch attack, obscene build-up status, back swings, good moveset, does pierce damage, so its benefit from counter pierce damage, and the spear talisman can be used as an offhand weapon to truly turn a good weapon into a nightmare and god tier level setup like Halberd, Greatsword, Curved Greatsword. I mean, you just like daggers, you put the CleanRot Knight Sword in the off end of any setup and it automatically becomes amazing. The weakness of this weapon is that if you don't use your brain, you will die. No, but if you don't use your brain and mash R1 like one of Malenia's sims, you will be strafed and punished by someone that actually use his brain and know how to play the game. There is also a lot of other really good thrusting sword like Nobles and also Roger's Rapier, but really CleanRot is superior in every way. It goes straight into the S tier, no questions asked. Moving on to not one but 3 weapons, the Cinquedea, Reduvia and Wakizashi-sama. So yeah, we're not gonna talk about one weapon, but 3 weapons in this category. The Cinquedea used for strength build, the Wakizashi for dexterity / hybrid builds, and the Reduvia for arcane build. Although the weapon master Omega put out a video recently showing how to play with dual dagger and how devastating this setup can be, the real reason why daggers are on this list is not because it can be used as a main weapon, but because of how absurdly strong and borderline broken it becomes when it's being held on the offhand, making these daggers some of the best weapons in the game, period. The main reason is that once worn in your offhand, it will magnify any weapon setup in the game. The offhand dagger will consistently keep your opponent on their toes. Because of how fast the light attack comes out on a dagger, you just cannot reaction roll, so you're always kind of rolling in prediction that your opponent will attack you, and that's where you can capitalize on using your other weapon in your main hand. These weapons, the daggers, they have the speed and the damage. It might not seem like a lot at first, but this little damage adds up and are slowly tearing your opponents to shred. The Reduvia pairs up really well on a bleed build, giving you free damage and crazy bleed build up, as well as a long range option with its Ash of War. All of these daggers go straight into the S tier, no questions asked. On to the next one, and another personal favorite of mine, the Bloodhound Fang and the Dismounter. To the enjoyment of us big weapon lover, the Curved Greatsword category is now better than ever since patch 1.09 and 1.10. They used to be way too slow, but now they are stupidly fast with hyper armor for days, baby, and insane damage. Their two-handed version has super quick hyper armor frame, the second R1 in chain is unreactable and blend perfectly without even trying. Really good R2 for mix-up and roll catch potential, not to mention that extremely crazy running R1 with a lot of forward momentum and speed. But even the crouch attack is crazy fast and can be blended using the crouch cancel technique. Pair a Curved Greatsword with a dagger and it becomes almost unfair. Curved Greatsword are pretty underrated and very strong. I'm surprised we don't see it more in the arena. In this footage that you see, I'm using a lot the Bloodhound thing because I just love this weapon. I mean, just like how beautiful and sexy that thing is. It has fantastic range, being the third longest Curved Greatsword in the game, insane damage, extra damage on jump attack, it's like a built-in claw talisman, has the most badass Ash of War, even though practically it's not very good, but really using Bloodhound thing is more for style point. And yes, I'm pretty sure that if you ask any player that is actually good at the game, it will tell you that Dismounter is actually much better because it has longer range, access to various Ashes of War. We can also include Morgoth's Curved Sword in the equation, since it has the longest range out of all the Curved Greatsword, a god tier Ash of War, and paired with the Reduvia, it becomes a bleed jackpot machine. They all go into the A tier, easy pick. Now, moving on to a class of weapon that used to be dominating everyone and everything. Straight sword used to be one of the, if not the best setup in the game, but with the rise of hyper armor weapon, they have a much harder time imposing their dominance in the arena. Power stance straight sword is one of those setups that falls short of being S tier. Even though they have really short recovery, one of the best passive with punish playstyle in the entire game, access to great Ashes of War, extremely high burst damage, super easy to roll catch. They always have priority while mashing out of hit stun. It's possible to reaction roll, fantastic crouch R1, you can empty jump to force roll, neutral skip, and to quote Enda, they will nuke you to the ground with power stance L1. They also can be used on any build. And finally, the noble Slender sword becomes completely broken with sword dance, so it's also again hyper armor on top of that. Fighting a good player using them is like going to Vietnam back in the 60s, meaning it fucking sucks, man. Especially if you are an American or if you're a Vietnamese. I mean, they did throw napalm on those civilians, right? Well, I guess war just sucks for everyone except people making money out of it. Something to think about. But even from a casual side of things, we've all run into that one scrub running power stance straight sword who has no fucking idea what he's doing, but every time you get close, he just starts smashing L1, and sometimes you just eat all of those and you lose. Not a good feeling. I would say the big weakness of this setup is the lack of move to initiate aggression, especially against people with more range than you and access to hyper armor. The noble Slender sword is, in my opinion, the best since it has access to various Ashes of War. The Carian Knight sword is close to second in my opinion, even though the damage is better. The Ash of War is really a miss in my opinion. We could also mention the infamous Coated Sword that used to be banned in tournament, a pure faith weapon, hence you have access to a plethora of great spells to complement your game. If you want more information on Straight Sword, you can watch our Straight Sword tier list video, it's great, go watch it. We're ranking all of these into the A tier. Last weapon, guys. Man, that video took a lot of time. I think it's my best video today, to be honest. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. On to the last one, the Banished Knight Halberd. Oh la la, there is so much to say about Halberd, guys. I don't even know where to start. There are 3 types of Halberd movesets. They all have true combos, they have access to hyper armor, extremely good range and fast running R1s, they poke, hence pierce damage, hence spear talismans, hence you're gonna get fucked. If you use the barbaric roll Ash of War on it, you get a super fast and crazy damaging R2. I mean, you can one-shot some people that have low vigor with that thing, it's quite fun and quite crazy. With close to infinite hyper armor, they have fantastic Ashes of War like the illegal Storm Assault.
That's fucking illegal.
They are easy to use, but their best iteration is probably with an offhand weapon, so you can use whatever you want, dagger, fist, thrusting sword. Recently we're also seeing a lot of people using the sexy and beautiful Shamshir on the offhand, so yeah, mixing up between the halberd and the offhand makes the setup extremely dangerous and one of the most versatile setup in the entire game. You can pretty much have priority over your opponent the entire time if you're careful enough. Honestly, guys, halberds are fantastic. The one we see the most in tournament is the Banished Knight for its fantastic range, great damage, it can work on any build, part of the poking moveset. We can also sometimes see the beautiful Nightrider Glaive, but the real king of halberd is the illegal and demonic Ripple Crescent Halberd.
Somebody, help me. Unshackle me, please. Anybody. I've had enough of this dream. The night blocks all sight. Oh, somebody, please.
That has a crazy stupid synergy with a high arcane build and sleep greases. You will just be put to sleep again and again and again, and there will be nothing you're gonna be able to do. This weapon goes into a tier of its own. You're a piece of shit for using this weapon tier. The other will go into the S tier. And that's it, guys. We're done. And that's a wrap, guys. Here is our final ranking with all of the best weapon in Elden Ring. Again, I have tried to be as objective as possible, and maybe a couple of other weapons would have deserved to be on this list. Let me know again in the comment section below. I read and answer to every comment. I'm probably the only YouTuber doing that. A new era of Elden Ring is upon us. Only a few days remain. The DLC cannot come any sooner. However, guys, I would advise you to get ready for some stupidly broken weapon spells and Ashes of War. Many of the new toys we will have are gonna take time to be balanced. Just keep this in mind while you face your new opponents. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have watched it until the end, leave a comment saying I love Marika's banana, hence I will know you are a fucking you're awesome. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I answer to every comment, yes, even the mean ones. It was Valentin, the gaming athlete. I love you guys, and I see you in the next video.